that why you're here?
This is it. Don't get scared.
Hello and welcome back to a brand new Flick Pick live show. This is it. Don't get scared now. How are you guys doing? Thank you for joining me once again, where you can look at my stupid face for 1 or 2 hours and ask me some random bullshit regarding and relating to movies. But nevertheless, it's a great time. I hope you grab something salty to eat and something cold to drink. And now let's dive into the questions. And by the way, I am not going bald. I simply wear this hat because I'm way too lazy to put gel or any products in my hair at this point in life. So yeah, it's still there. It's clinging on. But I prefer to wear the Batman beanie because, well, it just makes me feel better about who I am and what I'm doing in life. And also, if I ever get the urge to rob a convenience store, I just pull this bad boy down and just give me your money. Justice, you know. So let's pull this up and not commit any felonies and just talk about movies and answer some questions. It's going to be a nice, quiet Wednesday night, everyone, all right? And maybe if we have time tomorrow, we can go to Bed Bath & Beyond. All right, the first question comes from Chad Hagen, who says, do you think Indiana Jones could/should be rebooted? I know Harrison said it dies with him. It would have to be more than perfect to take such a risk. You know, I think at this point, audiences are simply done with movies like Indiana Jones, which is sort of sad, but I just feel like throwback 1940s action/serial style adventures, it's not what audiences want to see anymore. At a point it was, and also I think if anything, the last two Indiana Jones films were sort of like the two final nails in the coffin. You know, we threw the whip in there, we threw the hat in there, the leather jacket in there, and then we threw Harrison Ford in there, and we just put the nails in the coffin and said, here's two mediocre movies to cap off the franchise. See you later. Which is really unfortunate. You know, I was really hoping that the latest installment of Indiana Jones lived up to the hype, or at least what I wanted it to be, which was just a fairly entertaining, decent movie with a send-off to one of the greatest cinematic heroes of all time. And what we got was far from that, which is sad and brings a tear to my eye. But, you know, that's modern-day Hollywood. That is modern-day Disney, and that is what we live with. So, it exists. Is it the movie I wanted it to be? No. But I don't see anyone rebooting that franchise anytime soon, simply because the Indiana Jones franchise, I don't think any longer is a viable franchise. I don't think that really brings people back to the theater to see it, which is just a weird time in cinema, but that's where we're at. I don't know what audiences, really, to be honest, what do people want to see now? You know, there's definitely superhero fatigue setting in. The big bloated blockbusters, it feels like there's a lack of charisma with every new installment. What do audiences want to see? I can tell you what I want to see. I would like to see more character-driven stories. I'd like to see movies that don't have a budget of $350 million starring Vin Diesel, drive CGI cars through digital explosions. I would like to see character stories. I would like to see more movies like the Iron Claw. I would even like to see, if you want to go with something that has a somewhat decent budget, but still focus on like the gritty side of storytelling, something even like The Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. I will take more movies like that. You know, if Hollywood wants to spend millions of dollars on superhero movies, then go that route. Make R-rated superhero movies that actually have a story to tell and interesting characters to develop. Don't just give me CGI. What's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't bukkake. It wasn't CGI bukkake, though I will go with that. I'm tired of superhero CGI bukkakes, which sounds like it would be a category on the hub. But either way, I hope I answered your question. I don't think we need another Indiana Jones installment anytime soon, even if they reboot it. Okay, the next one comes from James, who says, John, can we get a Tom Cruise/Christopher Nolan collaboration? Can we get a Tom Cruise, Christopher Nolan collaboration? I don't know. I could see them working together. But the weird thing is with Tom Cruise, it feels like of late, he almost picks the directors for his movies. Because let's be honest, Tom Cruise, along with many other Hollywood celebrities, are secretly narcissists. and they like complete control. And I think Tom Cruise is up there. And I'm not taking anything away from the guy. When I see him on screen, he has charisma. He has a presence. I love me some Tom Cruise action movies. But I think Tom Cruise is the ultimate control freak with a death wish, because what else does he have to live for? When you have that much money, unless you're risking your life on a daily occasion, like there's no reason to get out of bed unless you're going to fly a helicopter down a ravine going at a 90-degree angle. There's just no reason to get out of bed anymore. And I think that's where Tom Cruise is at. Would I like to see Tom Cruise and Christopher Nolan team up? Yeah, I think there could be a cool movie there. What is that movie? I don't know. I couldn't tell you what it is. I'm sure Tom Cruise is running somewhere at some point, and the movie is definitely filmed in IMAX. And when they make the movie, they definitely market it and say this: see it on the largest screen possible. Have you guys noticed that about Nolan movies over the last 10 years? The marketing for the movie, it doesn't tell you what it's about. It doesn't even matter. The only marketing message is, see it on the largest screen possible. Okay, got it. But yeah, I'd like to see that. What do you think? I would love to see Nolan do a straight Die Hard type action movie. I would like to see Nolan do a straight up action movie. You know, if Nolan was able to direct maybe like a new James Bond flick, I think that would be perfect for him. If it had a good story to tell and a good screenplay. I don't know. Sometimes Nolan, lately, I don't know. Sometimes he gets a little self-indulgent in his own movies. I think Tenet was a prime example of that. Yeah, I could dig that. And I would definitely see it on the largest screen possible. All right, the next one comes from James Games, who says, ever get sharp nipple pain watching movies? It's been a while since I've had sharp nipple pains watching a movie. And hey, listen, that's not a bad thing. That just means the movie's that good, right? You get those tingles that go down your spine. You get the little goosebumps, the hairs stand up. Now, talking about that, that's a great question I want to ask you guys. What's the last film that you saw that gave you goosebumps and made the hairs on your arm just stand up, that you were so blown away by it and so moved by it that it did that to you? It's been a while. I'm sure there's been a movie or two over the last couple of years that might have done that. The movie I always go to that definitely did that. And I just sort of shit on the superhero genre. And don't get me wrong, I love me a great superhero movie. Put some dude in spandex, have him save the day, I'm all for it, as long as it tells a good story. So the last time I vividly remember having that sensation in the theater was watching Avengers Endgame. And when Cap picked up Thor's hammer and kicked Thanos' ass for about 3 seconds, it gave me those tingly sensations. So let me know let me know the last time you felt those feels down below. Luke Sainer says Top Gun. Yeah, Top Gun Maverick. You know what? Actually, that would be another one I would agree with. And speaking of Tom Cruise, how I just said that he has a death wish because when you're that rich, what else gets your juices flowing? I get it. If I was utterly rich, I'm going to tell you guys right now, if I was filthy, stinking rich, okay, first of all, if I drove down to Dairy Queen, I would drive the Batmobile there. Secondly, well, really, I think that's all I would do. Yeah, I would just drive the Batmobile. Yeah. But anyway, Top Gun Maverick, when Tom Cruise was flying through that ravine during the test mission, and he was trying to show the young rookies how it's done, and he's just going, I was like, that is a man. That is a man. It gave me the feels. Yeah, I agree. I was holding my breath that whole scene. All right. The next one comes from... It's coming from somebody. Let's see. Here it is. Movies for Life says, I like Jake Gyllenhaal, but I don't think he has the same demeanor that Swayze brought to Dalton. I can see where you're coming from, and it's not that I agree or disagree. Patrick Swayze had a certain screen presence to where he was made for 1980s and early 1990s movies. He just had this look and this charisma and this swagger about him that it was perfect. Now, I think Jake Gyllenhaal is a great casting choice for Roadhouse. Let's be honest. He's a better actor than I ever thought we could get for a Roadhouse remake, right? I thought Dolph Lundgren would show up in this shit. Now, if you want to talk about the trailer of Roadhouse, it looks like at points it knows what it is. It definitely looks like a modern day take on a Roadhouse movie. But that trailer, something about the style and the look and the tone of it just really looked blah to me. Like even the color grading in it just looked like a modern day streaming movie of the week. It kind of has like a slight desaturated look to it. It just looks like the most standard shot on a digital camera movie. And it has a great Doug Liman's the director, if I believe, if I remember correctly, which you got a pretty good director for it. It feels like it's not pushing the limits far enough, or at least in the trailer it does. And I hate the setting of the movie. It looks like it's in some tropical location. There's some like manager lady who runs the bar, but it looks like a lady who would never run a bar, but that's who they cast to do it. It just feels slightly off to me. And the trailer, like there was nothing in that trailer that got me super excited to see it. But don't get me wrong. I definitely want to see a great Roadhouse remake. I love the original, maybe more than I should. I'm just hoping at the end of this film, all the townspeople come together with shotguns randomly and kill the bad guy. And then they just take all the guns and walk away and the police show up and they make some kind of punny joke and they go, oh, I don't know. And then the movie ends. All problems are solved. All justice has been served. Never mind the 3 dead bodies outside. It's okay. Why? Because Roadhouse. All in the name of security at some shitty little bar that makes a profit of $75 a night. Why? Because it's Roadhouse. But yeah, I want to see Jake Gyllenhaal kick some ass. I hope it's decent. Okay, the next one comes from, and you guys are killing it with the questions, so I'll try to talk a bit faster tonight. Veiny Dix says, and I knew exactly where that was going before I read the name, but hey, I liked the name, so I read it with enthusiasm and a smile on my face. Nevertheless, here we go. Hey, Johnny Buttslurp. You guys, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Would you rather be kidnapped by Buffalo Bill or Dr. Joseph Hyder? Dr. Joseph Hyder? Who is that? Now I got to Google it. Oh, is this the SS officer from the Holocaust that tested concentration prisoners? Okay. Actually, I remember reading about him in a novel. Okay, well, that's very different things. Well, I definitely would not like to be in Auschwitz, if that's your question. No, I do not come from German descent, so I don't think that would have been a problem in 1941. But with all that said, I don't know. I think that's what a weird question. How do I even answer that? But I will. I'm going to give you an answer because it's the least I can do. And you gave me a super chat, so I will give you an answer on this. Way to bring down the live show with a Holocaust question. Thanks for that, man. I'd probably rather not be in a concentration camp. So maybe I'll go with Buffalo Bill's well. I oddly enough, I think I could talk my way out of the situation. I really do. I'd be like, listen, Bill, let me make you a deal. First of all, okay, my skin is not going to look right on you. You don't want it. So let me do this. Let me go out and capture your next victims, okay? And I'll bring them to you and put them in your well for you. And I'll even bring a dog treat for Precious. And then as soon as he lets me go, I'm going to run away and never come back. So I'll go with Buffalo Bill's well down in the basement. Thank you for the question. You never know what you're going to get in these live shows. Okay, here we go. Carter Lovejoy says, are you a fan of Moist CR TKL, some fucking guy on YouTube I've never watched? Penguin Zero, aka Charlie, aka the star of the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. I've watched Penguin Zero a handful of times. It's YouTube channels like that I get slightly envious of, because it's just a dude wearing the same white t-shirt for 7 years with a very kind of low energy, just talking about things. It's so simple. It's so simplistic. I almost appreciate the simplicity of it. That's the version of YouTube I respect more than the overproduced content made by studios that have a $10 million budget. So yeah, I've seen some of his videos. I actually, at one point, with Penguin Zero, I was actually part of his advertising / network. He runs it with a friend of his, and I worked with him.
Seen The Big Hit, 1998. It's a goofy action movie with Marky Mark and Lou Diamond Phillips. If you haven't, then check it out if you are in the mood for some over-the-top action.
Okay, we will get to the robot question that Mr. Belvedere just read. But to sum it up, yes, I have seen some of his videos. Okay, here's the question from Roger something that just popped up. Here it is. And by the way, if you super chat $10 or over, Mr. Belvedere, my digital robot, he will in fact read that shit. So here it goes. John, have you ever seen The Big Hit, 1998? It's a goofy action movie with Marky Mark and Lou Diamond Phillips. If you haven't seen it, then check it out if you're in the mood for some over-the-top action. I want to say I have seen The Big Hit. Maybe I watched it on HBO in like 2001, possibly, maybe. But I don't really remember it. I do remember Marky Mark being in the movie, but I don't remember Lou Diamond Phillips. But when I think of Lou Diamond Phillips, I think of Young Guns, which brings a smile to my face. Weren't they supposed to make another Young Guns movie with like Emilio Estevez or something?
My question is, what movie would you love to go back in time to watch for the first time? Mine is Jurassic Park when I was 9 years old. I was so blown away.
Okay, Mr. Belvedere, back at it with another super chat here. Let me try to find that question here. I don't see it. It has not popped up yet. All right. We'll get to that question in just 1 second. Let's go to the next one here. And it is from James Doshier, who says, "Hey, John, would you agree that the Fast and Furious movies are giant daytime soap operas with cars and explosions?" Yes, I would say the Fast and Furious movies are like a wet dream with digital explosions and Vin Diesel looking like a baked potato. And you know what's funny? This morning, for some odd reason, I was in the mood to watch the last scene with Brian O'Connor, aka oh god, I forgot the actor's name. He plays Brian O'Connor in the Fast and Furious movies. Why can I not remember that? Paul Walker. Gosh, it's been a long day. I watched that scene again where it plays the music and Miss Khalifa or whatever, and then they drive separate ways. For some odd reason, I was in the mood to watch that today. I think I came across a TikTok video with it. The CGI in that scene is slightly unsettling, but nevertheless, it's sort of a beautiful send-off, is it not? But yes, Fast and Furious movies. If they never made another one, that would be too many. But I love... Listen, I will stand by this. The first Fast and Furious, call it a Point Break remake. It absolutely is. I enjoy it. I have a guilty pleasure love for the third Fast and Furious movie. I thought Fast 5 was on the verge of jumping the shark, but they held back just enough. But everything after that I thought was atrociously bad. And I have not cared about a Fast and Furious movie since Fast 5. All right, the next one comes from James, who says, "What do you think of a Nolan Cruise collaboration, like a straight-up smart action film like Die Hard?" Did we not talk about this already? I said I'd like to see it. You know, imagine the most epic IMAX shot of Tom Cruise running. Where does Tom Cruise have left to run? On the moon? Aren't they doing that in one of the new Mission Impossible movies? I thought there was a space battle at some point coming up. I'm sure that'll be in the next movie. But yes, I would like to see it. The next one comes from JBP91, who says, "Hey John, what are your thoughts on Vince WWE?" Yeah, that dude was doing some dubious, seedy shit, was he not? I mean, I think we always knew he was up to no good behind the scenes. Now, you can call Vince McMahon a monster, but he was a visionary at times, and without him, I don't think professional wrestling would be where it's at. But with all that said, yes, I think behind the scenes, he was a piece of shit. It's crazy. The thing that's always fascinated me about wrestling and sort of brought me back into pro wrestling over the last 5 years wasn't necessarily what's happening in the ring, but it's all the behind the scenes drama and events and business that goes on. I think that's really fascinating. Those are the things that I feel like if you made a movie about pro wrestling, that is the interesting stuff going on. What happens in the ring is fine, but I love the behind the scenes drama. So it's kind of crazy, all the news coming out. I have kept up on it. I do have a few other opinions, but I'm curious to see where it goes. The next one comes from MC Pauly, who says, "John, I have a boxing match this Friday. Say some shit to get me pumped up, and I'll watch it before the fight. I've been a fan since 2014. Well, MC Pauly, good luck on your boxing match. I hope your teeth don't get knocked out of your head, but if you want some motivation, here it goes. Hey, it ain't about getting knocked down. It's about how many times you get knocked..." I was going to say get knocked up, but I fucked it up. I'm sorry. Can you just go watch any of the Rocky movies? Hey, it ain't about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep going. There you go. Good luck, man. Just put your dukes up and hope for the best. The next one comes from Noah, who says absolutely nothing, but thank you, Noah. Oh, here, Noah said something on this one. "Hey, John, have you ever used an OLED TV? I'm going to buy one." Well, Noah, I would say if you're going to buy a TV and you want the best picture quality with the best contrast, with no motion blur, you're making the right call with the technology you're picking. Yes, OLED is the only type of TV I would ever buy. I originally bought my first OLED TV. It was an LG. I bought it in 2017, and it's still going today. I still have it in my living room. Looks pretty good. There is a banning issue that I have on the screen. It's where there's a vertical line of pixels that looks slightly different than the rest. And I don't know if that's the TV's fault or because I've moved 5 different times with the TV and maybe it got screwed up. But yeah, OLED is definitely the way to go. My last TV purchase, which I'm still paying on with our Costco credit card, I did purchase a 83-inch LG OLED, and that thing is beautiful. No complaints. Looks great. Movies look phenomenal. There's been a few 4K movies that I've watched on it over the last year, and watching that movie on 4K on that OLED screen was sort of like watching the movie again for the first time. And whenever you can say that, you know you made the right purchase with your TV. So yeah, the only way to go with TVs is OLED. Don't let anyone else tell you differently. And QLED is not OLED. Don't let Samsung's lies fool you, all right? Upshot Music TV, how's it going? Super disappointed in True Detective Season 4. You and me both. This feels like an AI-generated screenplay that actors are reading. I love me some Jodie Foster. And I think if you're going to put a female lead in a seedy crime drama mystery, she's the right casting choice. Have you ever seen the movie Silence of the Lambs? She can play a great detective, right? But something about the new season 4 of True Detective, it just feels so off. And I like the setting. I like the premise. It sort of has The Thing vibe. And I think when they pitched this to HBO, they probably said, imagine True Detective meets The Thing. Hey, I think that would get anyone excited. It got me excited. And then you watch it. And then I gave it 3 episodes. And by this 3rd episode, I'm to the point where I'm bored, I don't really care, and I don't give a shit about any of the characters, nor do I like any of the characters in the show. There's nothing to latch on to. And it also feels like, from a personality trait, some of the lead actresses, the way that they portray themselves and the things that they say, it doesn't feel all encompassing of who they cast for these roles. It's like something feels off. And like anytime they deliver any line of dialogue, it feels slightly disingenuous, and it also feels like there's no nuance with what they're saying. Like, it just feels like they're reading pages of a script that were meant to be read by somebody else. Or maybe the lines in this screenplay belong in like a shitty TBS detective show. It doesn't feel like the screenplay is up to the caliber with the subtleties and nuance of something like True Detective. Those are just my opinions. I would like to know yours. Do you guys like season 4 of True Detective so far? I'm extremely underwhelmed, and I just... It's not what I was hoping it would be. Okay, the next one comes from Andrew O'Cana, who says, John, I love you, man. Where's Tiny Todd? I've answered this, I think, 377 times at this point. Tiny Todd is dead. He's buried. Forget him. Don't mention his name, or else you might resurrect his spirit and he'll haunt your dreams. He's listening right now. I retired Tiny Todd, though I do have a little plastic skeleton who lives in my garage with my Halloween decorations, and I like to think that's Tiny Todd's brother. What is his name? I don't know. Yet to be determined. Night King 01, how's it going? Did you notice that all of Nolan's best films are ones based on previously existing works? Whenever he's left to himself, he gets self-indulgent. Yes, yeah, that's been my complaint with Nolan since probably Tenet. You know, if he makes something that's based on some existing IP, he kind of handles it pretty good. I would say he almost elevates it to a certain degree, or kind of gives you a different take on it that you might not have been expecting. And I think the most obvious choice here is something like Batman. But yeah, sometimes when you give Nolan too much rope, he gets very indulgent, and it's almost like he has all these sequences and scenes in his head that he wants to film in IMAX. And it almost feels like the story is an obligation to get to these scenes. And I think sometimes as a director or maybe a screenwriter, when you go out of your way to make your screenplay as confusing as you possibly can, but really if you broke down the story in like a linear fashion, it's not that complicated. But whenever Nolan, he takes bits and pieces of his screenplay and takes the end and puts it at the front and takes the middle and puts it at the end, it gets to a point where it sort of feels like you have this very complex puzzle, and you're told to put it together, but you're missing half of the pieces. It's confusing to be confusing, if that makes any sense. And it's almost frustrating at this point sometimes with Nolan movies. So anyway, I agree. All right, the next one comes from Movies for Life. Napoleon was a true letdown. What a choppy mess. Yeah, you know, the sad thing is I was really looking forward to Napoleon. It's Ridley Scott. It's Joaquin Phoenix. It's an epic war movie from the 1800s. It's a time period movie. It was everything I ever wanted to see come together. That's my type of movie if you wrote it down on paper. And then I watched it. And then I was 30 minutes into the movie and I thought, oh my God, this can't be the movie or the tone they're making. And sure enough, it was. And then that same tone with these odd jokes that just persisted for another hour and a half kept happening. And then it focused on this really boring relationship with him and his shitty wife. And I kind of just stopped caring halfway through the film. And I think now they have an extended cut that will be coming out one day. And I don't know if more of this movie will fix it, because I feel like it'll just be more of the same. If it's just more scenes of Napoleon doing things, that doesn't really get me that excited about it. But yeah, I was let down by Napoleon. And it just makes me sad because I was really, I had high hopes for that. Royan Camus says, just off the top of your head, what would be maybe 3 90s nostalgia movies, nostalgia picks for you? Thanks, Mike M. 90s nostalgia movie picks? Oh shit, that's almost too easy, man. I mean, I go with Terminator T2 Judgment Day, which, by the way, I am getting a signed poster that has everyone except for basically Arnold signed it, but I am getting that. So yeah, T2 Judgment Day, Point Break, and then I'll throw in another 90s nostalgia movie. I mean, if you want something a little less epic, I would say something like, I don't know, Three Ninjas. That was good shit growing up. It's pure nostalgia. I remember renting that thing almost on a weekly basis from a little mom and pop video store that we used to have in town. And that was my go-to, Three Ninjas. Another movie. Do you guys remember Surf Ninjas? Everything in the 90s was about surfing and ninjas. It was like the personification of perfection for an 8-year-old boy. So yeah, what's another one? Oh, maybe Sandlot, you know? I mean, that's a classic, but if you're looking just for pure nostalgia love, definitely Three Ninjas from the early 90s. I'm going to go with that. But there were so many movies in the early 90s that just went straight to VHS that were pretty good. Do you guys remember, and I might forget the name of it. It was called Little Dinosaurs or Mini Dinosaurs. It was about this. They made 2 of these movies. And the one dinosaur's name was like, what was it? The King? Because he's T-Rex, he's the king, or they named him Elvis or some random shit like that. But it was this kid who had little dinosaurs. And then in the sequel, I remember it was like the kid from Last Action Hero, or maybe he was in the first movie. And then in the sequel, it was like some rich kid who had the coolest room ever that had these little dinosaurs. And I remember watching that as a kid thinking, this is the coolest thing ever. I want little dinosaurs. Anyway, can we just go to the next question before I completely profess my love for little dinosaurs? Wasn't it called like prehistoric something? I don't know. Okay, the next one comes from Ian Rapash, who says, John, have you seen The Holdovers yet? Yes, I have. I liked it. I thought it was one of the better Paul Giamatti movies in a long time. You hear that, Spider-Man? I'm going to come down there and I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you, Spider-Man. Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know if we can go to town. We got to stay here. You hear me? That's my Paul Giamatti impression. I hope you enjoyed it. I will never do it again. But either way, yeah, I like The Holdovers. It was a nice throwback movie. It kind of had that early 1980s vibe of what a movie was. It was subdued. It was simple. It told a good story. And I wish Hollywood would make 100 movies like that every year. So I was a fan of it. Some people are saying it's called We're Back. Is that what it was called? With the little dinosaurs? We're Back? Then we had someone in here talk about Warriors of Virtue. Yeah, you know, I watched that once and it didn't do much for him. Even in 1998 when that abomination trash movie came out, and if you like it, that's cool. I'll respect your opinion, even though it was a blatant ripoff of Ninja Turtles, except we don't have turtles, we have kangaroos. Yeah, okay. The next one comes from Veiny Dix once again, and thank you. What a great name. Here it is. Choose one. Your top 20 movies and your memory of them are erased from existence, or you keep them, but from now on, you must marathon Steven Seagal's entire filmography 30 times a year. Okay, let me dissect that question, because that was almost like reading a riddle. Okay, that sucks, man. That makes me sad. Okay, so you want me to eradicate my favorite 20 movies of all time from my brain, and I don't get to ever watch them again, or I have to watch Steven Seagal's entire filmography 30 times a year. Holy shit. How many movies has that man made? Like 40 movies? 99 of them went straight to the $5 DVD bin. I think, damn, that makes me sad. I might just have to enjoy my top 50 movies after the first 20 for the remainder of my life. And there's some good ones in there, because I just don't think I can dedicate 3 weeks of my life 30 times a year to watching Steven Seagal movies. That sounds like indentured servitude. So no, thank you. I think, I'm sorry. There's some great movies in there, but I guess I saw them at one point in my life and I have to say bye to them. So that sounds like a death sentence you're asking of me. To have me watch one Steven Seagal movie, I would rather lash myself 7 times with a leather strap in the local town square than watch one of his new shitty movies. Just looking at Steven Seagal, first of all, it induces a vomiting reflex deep down in my throat. Secondly, well, I guess we'll just go with that first part there. I think that's all you need to know. All right, let's go to the next one here. All right, the next one comes from Roger something, who says, John, have you ever seen the big hit? Oh, we already answered that. Sorry. The next one comes from Greek Lawyer, who says, love the live shows. My question is, what movie would you love to go back in time to watch for the first time? Mine is Jurassic Park. When I was 9 years old, I was so blown away. Yeah, Jurassic Park, I think, is one of the best choices you could ever make. I really do. Now, I'll tell you my Jurassic Park story, and I do remember seeing Jurassic Park in the theaters. And let me tell you that story because I'm sort of ashamed of it. I was a young boy. I went to see Jurassic Park with my family in the local cinema. And for some odd reason, during the Velociraptor scene in the kitchen, maybe I was tired, I was sleepy, and keep in mind, this was 1993, I was a young boy, I was getting whiny, and then my dad had to take me out in the lobby for like 10 minutes, and maybe he threatened to murder me or something. I know I would. If my kid was acting up in Jurassic Park and I had to leave the theater to calm them down, I would hold it against them for the rest of their lives. I might just put them up for adoption immediately. But with all that said, I remember we went back into the theater like 5 minutes later or something. I don't remember. Maybe he bought me a candy bar. I couldn't tell you the details. And I remember finishing the movie and thinking to myself, even at a very young age, cinema can never look better than this. Those dinosaurs, I couldn't comprehend how they were put on the screen. My brain couldn't comprehend it. So anyway, I think Jurassic Park would be great. Could you imagine like erasing the memory of Jurassic Park from your brain and then going back to like an IMAX theater or maybe like a drive-in experience and just watching that on a summer night? Oh, I would give anything for a movie that made me feel the same way like Jurassic Park did. But that was your pick. So just in the sake of being different and giving you a different answer, if I could go back and rewatch any movie for the first time, that's tough, man. I got a list on there. I have a list of movies I would love to pick from. I don't know. It would definitely have to be something epic and large in scope. I would want to see it on the biggest screen possible. But what is that movie? I don't know. I mean, something like T2 Judgment Day, I think watching that again for the first time and just comparing it to every other modern day action film would be just mind-boggling to me. Or I think the better way to go is if you could go back in time and watch a movie for the first time in theaters with audiences that have never seen it. That would be a pretty good choice. But who knows? I remember a story that my mother told me where she went to see Jaws back in the 70s at a local theater, and she vividly remembers that, and she remembers everyone talking about that movie all summer and everyone being afraid to go in the swimming pool or go to the lake. Like, it actually induced fear in people. And I think anytime a movie can do that, I think it was effective. So I think I answered your question. I hope that was fulfilling. Now let's go to the next one. And here it goes. Astro Zombie says, who will die first, Arnie or Stallone? Morbid question. That is a morbid question, man. I don't even want to go there, but let's be honest. I don't, you know what? I think Arnold, I think Arnold is he a little bit older than Stallone? I mean, they both aged pretty decently. I think, Stallone looks pretty active, in my opinion, but then again, they both do. I want them to live forever. I really do. Because the sad thing is, both those guys are like literally part of my childhood. And it sort of reminds me of like when Robin Williams passed away. It just takes a little bit of that piece of your childhood, that little magical spark that you once had, and slightly snuffs it out. And if Arnold or Sly ever pass away, God forbid, I hope they live for another 40 years. And let's be honest, they both have the money and the resources to probably do so, because if you just inject yourself with enough human growth hormone, you'll probably live for a long time. The only downside to that is we've now scientifically have gotten to a point where biologically we can give humans an extended lifespan, but the one thing in human nature that we can't extend is our mind. And what's going to happen, I know this is getting weird. I know you guys come here to talk about movies, but one day there might be an epidemic where people are living too long, but your brain can't keep up with your body. So there's going to be like an epidemic of people getting dementia. So look forward to that when you get older, everybody. All right, let's go to the next question. All right, here it goes. James Nichols says, I watched Mad Max Fury Road for the 25th time the other day. James, me and you are living in the same simulation, because here's the truth. Just 2 days ago, me and my fiance were looking for something to watch. We were eating food. We wanted something easy, fun, visually stunning to look at, or visually stimulating, as I like to say. And I said, hey, have you seen Mad Max Fury Road? And she said, well, I haven't seen all of it. And I was like, well, now is the time, because with Furiosa coming out, you need to know who Rictus Erectus is. Okay? So I put on I just put on Mad Max 2 days ago and watched it. And damn, that movie still holds up. Just pure. And even my lady friend said this. She's like, this is the ultimate guy movie. And I'm like, you're right. This is the ultimate guy movie. But it's not some shitty Jason Statham movie. It's like there's nothing wrong within this movie. It's almost made to perfection. So that's why I'm really looking forward to Furiosa. But let's get on with your question here. It is the best action movie of all time, and the movie went through production hell. The movie did go through production hell because, if I remember correctly, they wanted to shoot that movie in the desert, but right before they shot the movie, the desert, for the first time in like 175 years, had a lot of rain, and there was too much greenery, so they had to move filming locations. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the new one. Noah Neal says, hey John, thoughts on Bob Dylan? I'm a fan. I'm not the biggest fan, but I like me some Bob Dylan. And with all that said, let me open up this delicious Sprite Zero. If you gave me the choice between water and Sprite Zero, like literally I would have to take a shower in this and swim in it and the ocean was filled with it, I would probably pick Sprite Zero. There's something about a clear carbonated beverage that just really hits the spot. And that's the taste of a new generation. And by the way, this video is not sponsored by Sprite Zero, though I wish it was. Okay. The next one comes from Murph, who says, hey John, has your Uncle Gary shown you his French flipper trick? Probably not since 1993, but it's been a while. If you don't know who my Uncle Gary is, I'm protecting his identity. That's not his real name, but I do have an uncle very similar to the stories I share about Uncle Gary. Anyway, let's go to the next one. Okay, the next one comes from Collie Wally, who says, and by the way, Murph, I'm sorry for the substandard answer, but you asked me such a ridiculous question. He's doing fine. He's incarcerated somewhere on the East Coast. He's probably in a straitjacket right now, or at least I hope he is, for all of society's safety. The next question comes from Collie Wally, who says, have you ever seen Sons of Anarchy? You know, a lot of people have told me to watch that. I just don't know if I can look at Ron Perlman wearing a biker outfit selling meth. I just don't know if I can look at that. It's not that I'm opposed to watching it. It's not that I'm saying I will never watch it. It's just I'm not on the edge of my seat with the need to watch it, if that makes any sense. James Doshier says, do you miss the old days of YouTube from 2008 to 2013 or 2015? Oh, do I? Those were the golden years, in my opinion. Those were the years on YouTube where it really felt like being creative was the key to success. And I miss them. It felt like there was a lot of things I tried on YouTube. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. But I would say I made some of my most memorable, coolest videos around that time frame. And sometimes I go down the rabbit hole watching my old videos on YouTube, like the sicko narcissist I am deep down inside. But sometimes it's like time traveling. I go back into a certain point in my life. And I love that I made videos over the last 15 years on YouTube, because I'm one of those people. I get very introspective at times, and I think about the past, and I think about how life has changed so much, and going back and revisiting those videos really evens me out, and I'm so glad I made them. You know, if no one even watched those videos, I think I still would have made them. But anyway, I do miss that golden era on YouTube back in the early days. I really do. It felt like there was a real community back then. I truly mean that. I felt like all the YouTubers who talked about movies were sort of in on it together. You know, we were striving for success, and there was healthy competition. But anyway, let's go to the next part of your question here. To tell me your channel is one of the few that still feels old-fashioned and sometimes wish for those golden years of YouTube. Well, thank you for that. You know, I try to never deviate too far from what made me who I am. So yeah, I don't feel like I ever really sold out. Now, I'll promote anything for the right price. But outside of that sponsorship, I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want. All right? But thank you for that. I genuinely appreciate it, man. You know what it is? I think some people just change. Some people change, some people evolve, some people stay the same. But I think that's what it is, you know? Okay, the next one comes from TJ McIntyre. How's it going, TJ, man? Hey, John, have you seen 5 Easy Pieces from 1970 with Jack Nicholson? The ending stays with you. Great character study. Oh, there's nothing better than a great character study in a film. But with all that said, I have not seen that. There's a lot of early Jack Nicholson movies where he kind of, before he became a household name, that I have not seen. So no, I have not, but I'm slightly intrigued to check it out. And with all that said, here's the deal, Sparky. You take the car and I'll take the little lady. Shitty Jack Nicholson impression. Let's go to the next question. Joey Ruiz, Lord of the Rings, says, did you see Godzilla Minus One? What's your grade? Don't hate me. Don't look down on me. I have not seen Godzilla Minus One. Now, hear me out for a second. I want to see it. I really do. I would almost prefer at this point to watch it on 4K on my 83-inch OLED TV after I take an edible, have some salty snacks ready to go, and I can just immerse into the film. I'm very aware that it's probably the best Godzilla film made ever, or maybe in the last 50 years or whatever. And it's not that I don't want to see it. It's just I'm not in the mood right now to watch a monster kaiju movie. Even if it's a good one, I have not been in the mood to watch that of late. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. But I definitely do want to see it, man. And once I do, I will make sure to share my thoughts on the movie. Veiny Dick's back again. You can never get rid of him, can ya? Choose one. Oh, we already answered this. I just wanted to say the name again. Here it goes. Night King 01, don't demonetize me, YouTube. Prestige is also based on a book, when I never knew because it's so Nolan. Apparently, the film is almost verbatim like the books. Oh, that's interesting. I guess I did not know The Prestige was based on a book. That's really intriguing. Huh. I'm curious if they did switch anything up, though. Okay, good to know. Thanks for the insight. Initial MC says, "Hi, John. Hope you're doing well. I watched The Beekeeper, and it's Jason Statham's highest audience score. Also, what's with the baby peeing on Aquaman?" Well, anyway, I have not seen The Beekeeper yet. Maybe one day I'll watch it when it hits a streaming service. I don't know if I'm ready to leave my house to watch the newest Jason Statham action movie. I've just become really picky about where I put my time nowadays because it's so limited. And for me to put pants on and leave my house to go to the theater and spend $50 on 2 movie tickets and a bag of stale popcorn, it's going to take a pretty good movie to get me to go there. That's just where I'm at, you know. But I'll watch anything at home. So when that shit hits streaming, I'll definitely check it out. As far as Aquaman goes, I think I've talked about this once before with you guys, but I just want to reiterate something here. If you saw the newest Aquaman movie, Aquaman 2, Fallen DCEU franchise, everything to do with Black Manta in that film, kidnapping Aquaman's infant child, is just really unbecoming to me. It's almost weird in a way that I don't know how it went past so many people and producers and screen testing audiences, because that scene, the scene in Aquaman 2 where you have Black Manta and he kidnaps the little kid and he lays it on a table, and then you have the scientist dude out in the other room just looking at him like, what's going on in there? And then all of a sudden, Black Manta just closes the door all slow as this baby's laying in front of him on a table. And Black Manta's just looking down at this infant child with the worst intentions possible. And it's just like, what are you doing with this small child? What is the intention here? What are we supposed to assume as an audience viewing this up on the big screen? Did anyone else notice this? Did you feel the same way? The things that we cancel on Twitter or wherever where we complain about movies, this was the thing that I think should have been brought up to society and gotten the attention. It just felt really weird to me. What are we saying about Black Manta in this movie? Okay, you want to be a bad guy and blow up submarines? Hey, I'm all for it, man. But what are you doing with that kid? Okay. Let's go to the next one. All right, I gotta... Oh, don't spam the chat with your stupid name. Let's see. Hide user from this channel. Sorry. Go to hell. I'm sorry. Let's, and we'll just remove. Okay. All right, the next question comes from, every time I post something on Twitter X or whatever the fuck it's called, I instantly in the comments get some like Russian like porn thing. What's going on with that? Anybody else? Okay, the next one comes from Great White Buffalo. And by the way, guys, I'm about 21 minutes behind on the question. So if you asked a question, just know it's on my list right now, scrolling down, and I will talk a little bit quicker because I think I'm rambling on too much. But thanks for watching. I appreciate it. All right, here it goes. And by the way, at the end of the live show, if you guys are YouTube members, I will dedicate the end of the live show to talking about whatever you guys want to talk about for a couple minutes. So if you guys are YouTube members, savor the flavor for the end of the show, and I'll give you a heads up before we get there. All right, here it goes. Great White Buffalo says, "Hey, John, what's up? When is the next Flick Crazy podcast episode?" I don't know. I've texted Jason, my old YouTube pal, I think once or twice over the last couple of years. And the truth be told, they don't call him Crazy Jason for nothing. He's living his best life. He's sort of a recluse. And he just kind of like faded away from existence. It makes me sad, man. It really does. But That's what's happening with that. Also, you love pro wrestling, but have you ever watched the UFC like a Conor McGregor fight or something? Yeah, I've watched a lot of UFC fights. When Brock Lesnar was fighting, I used to watch the majority of those pay-per-views. I watched some of the Conor McGregor ones. And actually, me and my pals are going to meet up for a UFC fight, I think in early March. We'll probably meet up and have a little get-together. So yeah, I occasionally watch it. I don't really keep up on it. I don't know who's fighting or the stats of everybody, but I like to watch a good UFC fight. Absolutely. It's probably the one legitimate sport I do enjoy watching. Okay, the next one comes from Claudia Rojan. Here it goes. Hey, John, you ever have you ever watched the show Banshee? It stars Anthony Starr and is about a criminal who impersonates a small-town sheriff to be close to his old girlfriend after being locked away for 15 years. It's definitely your type of show. It goes pretty dark. It's called Banshee. That sounds vaguely familiar, but what I will do is I'll put it on the list. How's that? Banshee show. Okay, it's on the list, man. And by the way, real quick, we'll take 1 second here. I want to talk about a couple new things that were sent to me over the last week or two. And you guys know I like to talk about physical media. Look at all that shit back there. And by the way, I'm getting a brand new shelf in my office right here where I can put the remaining amount of my 4Ks and Blu-rays on there because I've ran out of space back there on my IKEA shelves. I'm hiding some under that couch. So I'm going to put a new shelf over here maybe this week at some point. Kind of looking forward to it. Anyway, building DVD shelves slightly relaxes me. I still remember the time I built my first DVD shelf on YouTube. Good times. Okay, so here it is. I received Trolls, this thing here. I received this movie. Trolls Band Together, sing-along edition. I don't know. Don't ask me why I have this. I have it. It was sent to me. I don't know if I requested it. Maybe I did. But here it is. Okay. And then we have the Raid Redemption on 4K. It's a steelbook. Oh, God. Phenomenal action movie. And if they made another like Street Fighter movie, for example, just make it Street Fighter meets the Raid Redemption. Make it in the same tone and consistency as this. Make it almost exactly like this. But just throw in some like Street Fighter characters that can do Hadoukens. There you go. Perfect movie. You'd have it. But Raid of Redemption, I have not seen this in a long time. And I'm actually sort of looking forward to going back and revisiting it. Especially on 4K. So, cool looking steelbook, nevertheless. Alright, the next one comes from Tripler3, who says, do you like With Honors starring Joe Pesci? I don't think I've seen With Honors starring Joe Pesci. The two youths here. I like My Cousin Vinny. I don't think I've seen With Honors. Sorry. Night King 01 says, sad about Napoleon is that if they just did the history, it would have been one of the biggest epics ever, but Scott is allergic to historical accuracy. You know what? I can agree with that. I think that's a 100% fair statement. And I don't know, and why would you deviate from like the epicness that it could have been and tell a substandard subplot that no one wants to see? It's bizarre to me. I almost feel like Napoleon might have been better as like a limited series on Apple TV. Maybe that could have been a better version of what it was. I don't know. The 50% Doctor Who podcast. John, I have a first date tomorrow. Any advice? Well, don't get weird. Don't get clingy. Be yourself. Don't use 8 words when 4 will do. Be suave, but not too suave. Make her remember you, but don't make her forget you. I don't know, man. You know what? do something fun with some levity. I'll tell you what makes a bad first date, especially if you guys haven't talked a lot thus far. But here's my recommendation sometimes if you're dating. Before you meet, have a phone call. Talk about something for an hour or half an hour. Because if you can't have a conversation with someone, there's probably no need to meet them unless you just don't care about people's thoughts, feelings, or emotions, or if they have anything intelligent to say, and it's all just based on sexual attraction, then I guess go do whatever. But beyond all of that, on your first date, do something where you can kind of move around and talk at the same time, like putt-putt. Go play putt-putt. Because it's slightly active, you can kind of have fun and goof around and have a conversation. I would say going to see a movie is a no-no on a first date. Because then you just sit there awkwardly looking at the movie, but you can't really focus on the movie because you're like, oh my God, do I stink? Oh, I got to fart. Oh God, we're out of popcorn. What do I do? I have to go to the bathroom. And, oh, she's going to the bathroom. I hope she doesn't leave me here. So those are some negatives of going to see a movie. But anyway, my best advice for you, man, is just come up with some topics to talk about and don't try too hard. There you go. Lauren Middleton says, John, what time period would you like to live in if you could bring your favorite 2024 technology with you? Me, I'd go to 1950 Los Angeles, California. And what about you? That's a great question. That's a very interesting question. I'd like to take some hallucinogenics and really ponder that question before I give you a great answer, but I don't have time to do all that, nor do I have the drugs to take to do so. But with all of that said, if I could go to any time period with the same technology I have right now, I think the 1980s would be a really good place for me. I really do. I think a guy like me could make it in the 1980s. Because the truth be told, if you just had you had a slight bit of talent, but you definitely had charisma, the 1980s were for you. And I think that's where I belong, especially if I could have the technology of today. Oh my God, I could rule the 1980s. And plus, I just like the look. I like the time period. It was a good time. And the best thing about maybe being, I don't know, am I my same age or am I younger? I don't know. But the best thing about the 1980s was you had another great decade called the 1990s. So yeah, I'd go to the 1980s. Any further back and things were just too odd in society. The 1980s sort of had all the luxuries we have today. And I feel like the same type of sense of humor existed in the 1980s that relates to me. But anything further back than that, I just don't think I would connect with people as well. I don't know. I'll go back to the Neanderthal days and be the king of some small tribe. All right. The next one comes from Clark Ingleton, who says, Yo, Johnny, are you into non-team sports such as hiking, bodyboarding, surfing, skiing, pool, tennis, etc.? Lately, I've been loving bodybuilding. So, Clark, let me give you a very deep insight to that question, and maybe one that most of you don't want to hear, but either way, I'm going to give it to you, so here it goes. I actually find myself never enjoying team sports, and I've actually looked into this, and even since I was a kid, every sport that I've enjoyed or participated in, except for baseball, was always a solo sport. I did wrestling, I did cross country. Technically, you're on a team, but you're by yourself running. I did track, and those are all sort of solo sporting events, in my opinion. Even though you're part of a team technically, but it's not that you don't rely on someone else to be the best. And I always liked that because I hated relying on a team member to help me win. Like if I win or lose, it's on me and I can take the blame or I can definitely enjoy the glory. So that's one thing I found out about me. I looked into this. I said, I even Googled it one night and I said, why don't I like solo sporting activities? And there was a study done on it or something where basically if you're an Aries or born in the month of April, that's typically your personality trait. And I couldn't agree with it more. But anyway, yeah, some of the sports you mentioned are kind of cool. I would, if I had the money and the time, part of me would like to get into hiking But I would like to go hiking where I camp out and I have all the technology and gear with me. So I have like a cool pop-up tent. I have a heated blanket. I cook food outdoors. Part of me would love to do that at one point in life, just to get away from society and unplug for a little bit and enjoy the outdoors. You know, I'm not saying I want to go sleep on the dirt floor, but I want to have all the cool technology to go backpacking and, like, I don't know, cook like steak over an open flame out in the middle of nowhere. But is that considered a sporting event or something I just want to do? Yeah, so I hope that answered your question. Oh, also, I quite enjoy watching bowling. I like watching bowling competitions. I know, I'm weird, man. Chris Solomu says, Musk Nortolic chip will make us all live forever. I thought you were going with something there from like Avatar. I don't know what that means. But Bruce Cook says, if they make a Street Fighter again, please tell me it won't include Jean-Claude Van Damme. I would hope not. I would think not. We don't need it. Hey, Geisen. It's like this French guy. It just didn't make any sense. Plus, I think in that film, Jean-Claude Van Damme was all hopped up on coke at the time. But anyway, let's go to the next question here. Tanner Mays Manortays 124 says, I recently rewatched Judgment Night, incredible film, plus also watched Unlawful Entry for the first time. Have you seen it? I don't recall Unlawful Entry, but Judgment Night, I remember watching that in the mid-1990s on like VHS. I think it came out, 93, 94? Emilio Estevez, Jeremy Piven, man. Yeah, I just showed my lady friend that movie for the first time a couple months ago, and it still holds up. It's a guilty pleasure movie. A Splice of Pie says, what are some modern movies you'd like to see in black and white? I just saw Godzilla Minus One in black and white, and it was a whole different experience. Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard it was kind of cool to watch in black and white. Well, do you guys remember when they put out the Mad Max Fury Road shiny and chrome edition in black and white? I actually much preferred the color version of it. But black and white films, I'm trying to think, what's a good film noir type movie we could enjoy in black and white? I don't know. Do you think maybe you could watch something like the movie Drive in black and white, or maybe something like the movie Heat in black and white? Would that add anything to it? There's definitely a Tarantino movie that could be in black and white. What movie is that? I don't know. Maybe you could pick The Hateful Eight. Honestly, feels like it could be made in black and white. For some odd reason, it could almost fit, in my opinion. But really, listen, I love color in movies. I really do. But I guess to make a black and white movie, the movie really needs to be set around the time of the golden age of Hollywood, which would be like the 40s and the 50s. So yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think on that. The next one comes from the Rat Party, who says, what film genuinely unsettled you as an adult? Oh, I know. You know what movie I'd pick to watch in black and white? I'll pick Con Air with Nicolas Cage. Okay, the Rat Party question. Here it goes. What film genuinely unsettled you as an adult? Man, I know. Well, there's been a couple recently that have been slightly more unsettling. And the older you get, the more you realize your own mortality to a certain degree. But I remember watching 127 Hours a couple months ago. And anything based on a true story where there's a survival aspect to it, it has been hitting me differently the older I get, because I can almost see myself in that situation. I just know if I went hiking, like I just previously stated a few minutes ago, I would probably end up like James Franco did, with my arm trapped between a cliff face and a boulder where I had to saw it off. And I could just see myself being stuck in that situation. But when I watched it the last time, I truly felt so empathetic towards the character. And I thought, oh man, Like, what would you do in this situation? What could I chop my own arm off? I don't know. That's a question you have to ask yourself. I think I have very good survival instincts. So if I couldn't chop my arm off, I would bite it off. But I don't think I would be smart enough to stop the bleeding like he did, so I'd probably just die. But then again, that's why I don't leave my house. So yeah, survival movies have definitely been hitting different the older I've gotten. All right. Justin McKay says, recently I've been going through old Flick Trip vlogs and feeling nostalgic. Oh, you and me both, man. Glad to see you back on YouTube and happy I'm able to catch the live stream. Well, thanks for that, Justin. Thank you for that, man. Speaking of Flick Trip videos, I'm not getting rid of them. They're not stopping. I have an idea for another one, but I also have an old Flick Trip video that I shot maybe over a year ago. And for some odd reason, all the files were all mixed up and messed up, and it just looked like such the biggest pain in the ass to put together all the clips. But if you guys want to see that old Flick Trip video, I will edit that and put it out. It's about a year old. I mean, I guess I could just lie and say it's brand new. I don't know if you know the difference, to be honest. But either way, maybe I'll put that out this month. How's that? We'll just see how it does, because I have an idea for another Flick Trip video. All right. The Game Chasers, how's it going, man? Nice Zombies Ate My Neighbor's shirt. Yeah, you gotta love it. Zombieland is the closest we've ever gotten to a Zombies Ate My Neighbors live action adaptation of the game, which, by the way, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, I think probably one of the hardest video games I've ever played in my life. Have you ever beat Zombies Ate My Neighbors? And don't lie to me and say you did. And don't say you used cheat codes either, you piece of shit, because I'll know it. But anyway, one of the most difficult games ever to beat. And I beat it once in life. And I don't remember how I did it. I think I was just too young and stupid to stop. But either way, thanks for that, man. And by the way, I occasionally do check in on your channel during your live streams. Very relaxing stuff. And if you guys haven't checked out the Game Chasers, great YouTube channel. If you like video games and you like down-to-earth dudes talking about them, check out the Game Chasers. All right, the next one comes from... Hang on, I'm looking. Joe Nielsen, who says... Hey, John, love your videos. Do you think the Joker movie still holds up? Personally, I love it. Yes, I do. I recently watched it. I've watched that within the last year I watched it, and it still holds up. The way that film looks alone, the Joker, which is a digital film, but it doesn't look all digital. It looks grainy and nice, and it looks beautiful in the filmography and the cinematography. The Joker is what I would like to see more of in modern day movies to a certain degree, and it wasn't too heavy-handed with all the Batman stuff. I think it still holds up. Yes, I could go rewatch The Joker right now and be absolutely content. Or I could just go watch Taxi Driver. Eric Paredes? Is it Paredes or Paredes? Paredes. Okay, Eric, here it goes. Hey, John. Have you picked up The Warriors 4K, the Arrow video exclusive? It looks amazing. I love the ending so much. Thank you I love the videos. Well, I don't think I have picked up The Warriors on 4K. I thought I did, but I guess I did not. I'd like to check it out at some point. The Warriors is in my top 50 movies of all time. So I just haven't picked it up yet. The next one comes from... Sorry, guys. The chat is moving super quick. Here we go. I got it. Okay. Big Tony Rocket says, thoughts on Lars on the real girl, underrated in my opinion. Pardon, what? Thought on Lars and the real girl? Is this a movie or am I stupid? I haven't seen it, man. It's got a 7.3 on IMDb and 81 on Rotten Tomatoes. Came out in 2007. Huh, it looks interesting. I don't think I've seen this movie. Lars and the Real Girl. Ryan Gosling? Holy shit. This feels like a movie that never existed until you just said it. And then randomly the AI configured all this information together and put it into the simulation that I'm currently living in. Does anyone remember this movie? Lars and the Real Girl. Is this a real thing? I've never seen this. Okay, I will... Let me write this down because this looks made up. This looks like a spoof movie poster that someone would make. Okay. I've added it to the list simply because it has Ryan Gosling wearing a giant pair of boots, sitting on a park bench, as some lady looks like she's either getting knocked off the bench or running away wearing fishnets. What the fuck is this? I gotta check it out. Okay, thank you for that. I never thought I'd get so excited tonight. All right. Yeah, Murph says Lars and the Real Girl is awesome. Well, hell, I guess, how have I never heard about this? You got me. I have never heard about this. And if I have, I erased it from my brain. Vanny Dick says, my name is pronounced Van D. It's Dutch. Oh, sorry. Van D. Dix. Okay. I was just giving you full credit, man. All right. Claudia Rojan says, just wanted to say Banshee is only 38 episodes, so you can binge it pretty quick like I did. Also, the show is pretty dark, some nasty, seedy shit too. Also, the violence that reminds me of Game of Thrones, plus watching a criminal being a sheriff is entertaining. Oh, I love when corrupt people have positions of power. It's truly intriguing. Anyway, beyond all of that, yeah, I will check it out, man, for sure. And by the way, real quick, not a question, sort of an update / question for you guys. A lot of people liked when I used to put these podcasts into audio form and upload them to Spotify and iTunes or wherever you can consume your podcast content. Would you guys like me to continue doing that? Make an audio version of this live show and then post that shit on Spotify for easy consumption? Let me know. I could probably bring that back if you actually want to check it out. Just let me know. Type it in the comments right now. I will read it right now. All right, here it goes. NRML Design says, hey, John, what movie are you tired of talking about? What movie do you get asked the same questions about? I feel like it's the Dark Knight trilogy. It probably is the Dark Knight trilogy, or it might be something like Over the Top, or it might be something like American Psycho. But the truth be told, I don't get tired of talking about them. I really don't. The only thing I ask is, can you ask me a new question which relates to the topic? Like if you ask me about The Dark Knight, well, throw something new at me. Throw something that people don't talk about at me. I always like a different viewpoint on a movie that we've talked about a million times. Maybe there's something new to say. You know, do you ever watch a movie for the 100th time and you notice something new about it? You're like, oh shit, I never noticed that or thought about that. Sometimes I do that, and it's fun. It's always fun. All right, here we go. So we got a yes. Colin says yes. Okay. A few people said yes. Lauren says yes. Okay, then I'll bring the audio version back of the podcast. There it is. I will do it this week. I'll probably start with this one, and then I'll just try to upload the last couple on there. I don't know. I'll see what I can do. This is definitely a face meant for podcasting. All right, here we go. As I try to figure out what the next question is. Murph says, here's $5 for liking Bob Dylan. Well, thanks, Murph. Not only do I like him, I love him. I'm a casual fan. The luscious Bobby Dylan. Okay, Rex says, do you have any other career advice for a graduate? You're talking to the wrong guy, man. I can tell you after I graduated from high school, I did go to college, but I really didn't do much with my life or my degree for many, many of years. And I sort of just found YouTube, and then that became my career. And then I found a new career just recently. So any advice, You know what it is? You have to put yourself in the situation of the career you're going to be in. So for example, for me, I know I need flexibility. If you tell me I have to go to a place every day for 8 hours every day, I know that job is not going to last. It's not that I mind working. It's not that I don't mind busting my ass. I just have found that making my own schedule to a certain degree and being on my own and being able to work from home is what works best for me. So I would find a job like that. Whatever that job is, try to do that. And if you can have any job that has a certain amount of remote days per week, then go that route. I hope that helped. Just envision where you're going to be at that job in 5 years. And if it's not where you want to be, then I guess why do it? And also from a certain perspective, I would say enjoying your life and having sanity is worth more than making more money than you need. That's where I'm at in life. Okay, here it goes. Joe Nilsson says, what's the best Rocky/Creed movie? Well, you got to go with the first Rocky. Beyond that, my guilty pleasure is Rocky 4, but it doesn't feel like a real Rocky movie. So you could also say Balboa was another phenomenal Rocky movie. And then if I had to pick the Creed movies, I definitely would just go with the first Creed. I actually think they just got exponentially worse as the franchise went on. It's not to say that I think Creed 2 is bad or Creed 3 is completely awful. It's just to say the magic was in the first Creed movie. And I much preferred that. Ingrid Plaza says, hey, John, please don't answer if you don't want to, but whatever happened to the guy you did podcasts with? I really don't care for him, but I was just curious. Thanks. Ingrid Plaza, I don't know which co-host you're talking about. I've done podcasts with a few other buddies of mine from YouTube. But the last podcast I did was with my friend Odin from Odin's Movie Blog. Really, to be honest with you, I got a full-time job last year, and I got so busy with it where it just drained my will to live, and I couldn't focus on being creative. And some days I got home and I was too tired to sort of do a 2 to 3 hour podcast that I just sort of took a hiatus from it for a minute. So I think that's what happened. But he still makes podcasts on his channel and stuff. So Mike Witherspoon says, and thank you for the question, Ingrid. Mike Witherspoon says, hey again, John. Thanks for streaming. I'm rewatching Roadhouse right now, and man, do I miss Patrick Swayze. He genuinely reminds me of my dad in a good way and was such a wonderful man. What's some favorites of him besides Point Break and Roadhouse for you? Well, thanks for the question, Mike. Yeah, my father, no joke, had a very, very uncanny resemblance to Patrick Swayze at one point in his life. He had the same haircut, sort of the same build, and like same face. It was a weird, like from 30 feet away, you could say it was Patrick Swayze's stunt double. And truth be told, I have older sisters, and whenever they came over to our house in the early 90s, my dad would say he would tell them he's Patrick Swayze's stunt double, and this weekend he has to hang from a helicopter over alligators. And all the neighborhood kids really believed this, and I think I did too. So anyway, some of my favorite Patrick Swayze movies. Oh, man. You'd have to go with the movie Ghost, I think is good. Dirty Dancing, not one of my favorites, but great performance. And Patrick Swayze was also in this other movie, and I cannot remember the title of it. Shit. It had, he's like a homeless guy. It takes place in the 1950s, and he breaks his arm, or he breaks his leg, and his name is Jack, and he lives with these people. That's one of them. Also, what's the movie I'm thinking of? Patrick Swayze fairy tale movie. Tall Tale. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, I always thought Tall Tale was a great guilty pleasure movie. I always enjoyed that. That's another one of my favorite Patrick Swayze movies. So those are a couple from the 90s I quite enjoy. The next one comes from... this is a long name. I don't know if you... Maybe this is like the AI-generated name that YouTube gave you when you signed up. It's just a series of numbers. But anyway, here it goes. It looks like someone's IP address or something. Anyway, here it goes. Funny how I used to listen to your live streams delivering pizzas, and now here I am working an accounting job still listening to your live streams. Thank you for everything, John. You're more of an inspiration than you think. Well, those are very kind words, man, and I do appreciate that. That's the kind of stuff where when I lay down at night, I get this warm, fuzzy feeling. And no, it's not my heating pad shorting out again. It's comments like that. So thank you for that, man. And it's kind of weird because when you're making YouTube videos or making live shows or whatever we're doing right now, whatever this is, you don't know who's watching and you don't know who's listening. You know, you assume you have a certain audience, but you're a guy that works in accounting right now. And you're listening to this. It's just baffling to me, but I so appreciate it. So thank you for that, man. That means a lot. Thanks for that. Almost a tear's about to trickle out of my down my eye right now, man. But I'm glad you've been hanging out for so long. And, you know, I deliver pizzas as well for many, many of years. And there's certain music or songs or podcasts or YouTube videos I watched at that point in my life. And now I work as a project manager / YouTuber part-time. And there's still YouTube channels I still watch to this day. You know, and I don't know. The spirit is still alive, damn it. Don't ever let it go. Do not let adulting take a hold of you. Don't let it do it. Keep some of that childhood spirit within everyone. That's the best advice I can ever give you. And with all that said, let's go to the next question. But thanks for listening. A Slice of Pie says, thoughts on reaction channels. Also, have you played Plants vs. Zombies? I never played Plants vs. Zombies. My thoughts on reaction channels... I'm not a big fan of them. I never have been. You know, if you want to just talk about the movie trailer and not necessarily over-exaggerate stupid facial expressions to reacting to it for the sake of making YouTube content, that's fine. I'm all for that. Or if you want to watch a movie trailer on YouTube and then as it goes, kind of stop and break it down and give some thoughts on it, I'm all for it. But just having the camera on your face for 5 minutes as you go, I don't know. I don't know. You know, I've done a couple videos like that in the past, but I would always try to accompany that video with like a review of what I was thinking. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of straight up reaction channels. You know, it's definitely easy content. I get it. But I like a little substance with it as well. And if people give that, I guess it's okay. But who am I to judge? If there's an audience for a niche, hey, I'm all for it. But I don't watch them, no. Justin McKay says, did you ever get the chance to watch the new season of True Detective? If so, what are your thoughts? Justin McKay, I did talk about that earlier in the live show. I talked about it for probably like 5 minutes. It's something about the screenplay and the dialogue. It feels so generic and bland to me. I like the setting. I like the location. I think the premise is cool. But the two leads with Jodie Foster and the other lady, I don't think I like either one of them. And that's not the point. But I'm not intrigued by either of them either. Like, I don't care. And the mystery, I hope, is cool, and there's a great twist at the ending. But I'm on the 3rd episode, and it sort of lost me a little bit. I wanted so much more from it. But it just feels like Jodie Foster's reading these AI-generated lines of dialogue. Like, there's nothing, like, captivating me about this series yet. All right, the next one comes from... how did we pronounce it earlier? Your Swedish name? Vinay Dix or something like that. Here it goes. Either way. Have you watched Fargo? The show is right up your alley. 1 through 10 years old this year. Oh, season 1 is 10 years old this year. It's like Breaking Bad meets No Country for Old Men. I have been meaning to watch the Fargo series. I love the movie. Well, I done told you it's not here. I love the movie. I would like to watch the show. It has Billy Bob Thornton, right? It's one of those things on the list. Maybe I'll try to watch 2 episodes of it like this week because I am officially out of like a good TV show to watch to go to bed to. I did start watching The Crown, and like it's mildly entertaining. I like some of that's intriguing to me. I am a history buff, but man, do they really drag out some of the most lackluster, lame events that happened in history. It's like we didn't need 2 episodes dedicated to the Queen going to another country for 3 days to say hi to somebody. It's like we didn't need that. Okay, thank you. Okay, Bruce Cook says, what about The Outsiders? And by the way, if you guys are YouTube members, feel free to chime in right now, ask away, whatever. Tell me what you guys want to talk about if you guys are YouTube members right now, and we'll get there. Bruce Cook, I liked The Outsiders. I always have. I read the novel as a kid, and I liked the movie quite a bit. You got young Ralph Macchio. You got Pony Boy. I think it's a beautiful movie. I really do. And plus, hey, that's another Patrick Swayze movie that I forgot to mention. I love me some Patrick Swayze and Outsiders. And all their nicknames, like Pony Boy. You had Johnny, which wasn't really a nickname. It was just his name. Then you had a Soda Pop. Gotta love that stuff. All right, the next one comes from... I think I'm all caught up on the super chats here. All right, hey, I'm just going to the normal chat now. If you guys are in the normal chat, ask away. I'll probably do the live show for a couple more minutes and wrap it up and say goodnight because I am hungry and this Batman beanie is getting slightly itchy. Jay Flick says, what are your updated thoughts on Ben Affleck in town? In the town? Or I'm sorry, Ben Affleck, the town. Sorry, I thought Ben Affleck was in town. I was like, what, my town? Where at? Where do I go? I think The Town is probably overall my favorite Ben Affleck movie. I think it's the best movie he's directed. If any movie deserved the awards, it was definitely The Town over that other movie he directed. I like it. I enjoy The Town quite a bit, and it's right up my alley. I love heist films. I like movies set in Boston to a certain degree. And I really don't have any complaints with the movie. I love it. It's like my type of movie. And funny enough, when The Town came out, I was working part-time at a movie theater, and I was buddies with the managers, and we had a sneak preview for The Town like a week before it came out. And so after the movie theater closed, I remember watching The Town at like midnight, just me and like 3 other dudes in a theater eating free buckets of popcorn and thinking, damn, this is exactly the type of modern day heist movie I needed. So I love it. Murph says, did you buy your engagement ring from a pawn shop? I did, but unsure if I should tell her. No, I only buy movies from pawn shops. I bought it from some overpriced jewelry store here in town. The next one comes from Joey Ruiz, Lord of the Rings, who says, if you won $100 million, would you open a video store? Yes, I would, sir. I would open a video store. Would I share it with the public? I'm not quite sure, but I would definitely open a chain of video stores. I think there's a place somewhere for that. I mean, if you open a video store, you have to have an arcade to go side by side with it. I think if you opened up some retro video store and then like an arcade beside it and you served alcohol, people would come to this. I know I would. But yes, I would literally just recreate a Blockbuster in my basement. I just have Blockbuster in my basement. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh, that's kind of cool, John. No. It goes deeper. It goes darker than that. Not only would I have a functioning Blockbuster in my basement where I'm the only customer and I also need a membership, but I also want the full experience. And what I mean by that is I have a full-time staff of people that work at this Blockbuster. Now, keep in mind, there are some days where I don't even go downstairs or turn on the basement lights to go to the Blockbuster, but I will hire someone to stand there just in case I do. And I will offer these people full benefits. But let's go further with this. I want to actually be charged to rent things for my Blockbuster. Also, I occasionally want the employees of the Blockbuster to go around the store and take some of the new releases off the shelf so they're not in stock. Because I don't want to ever know if something's going to be there for sure or not. It reminds me of the golden days. You never knew what you're going to get at a video store. Maybe everything's rented out, or maybe, just maybe, you find that one copy hiding behind another copy of another movie. And you think to yourself, oh, the heavens have opened up and it's a miracle today. So yes, I would like my own Blockbuster if I was filthy, stinking rich. That's my answer. I hope that was fulfilling. Okay. Whew. Also, speaking of Blockbusters, now with everything I just said, when you guys were kids and you went to the video store, in my house, you were allowed to rent 2 things. And one of those things would always be a movie, and the next thing would always be a video game. So I try to get a video game and a movie every time we went to the video store on a Friday night. But sometimes, if there was another game or a movie that I definitely wanted for the next week, I would take that movie and I would go hide it somewhere in the video store behind a movie no one would ever rent. I did some dubious shit as a kid. One day I will pay for those sins, but not today. Did anyone else do that, or was it just me? Silvio 00708 says, thoughts on Howard Stern. Hey, Robin, did you get see the picture of that pair? I don't know. I was going to try to do a Howard Stern impression, but I just simply could not do it. I'm sorry for that. That was slightly embarrassing. But anyway, I used to like Howard Stern every once in a while. I like the movie Private Parts. I actually think that's a really good movie. But Howard Stern lately, he's just almost insufferable to listen to at certain points. And also, when it comes to Howard Stern, I do like some of his interviews he's done with actors or celebrities. I think he asks slightly inappropriate questions, but I like them. The only thing I've never liked with Howard Stern as a DJ or a guy who interviews people is he always interrupts his guests to the point where I can't even take it sometimes and I have to shut it off. But other than that, he was a shock jock and it worked, but now I don't think I would probably listen to modern day Howard Stern, no. We already answered that. Okay. All right. We got one here from Bruce Cook who says, yes, there is a place for video stores. It's called the 1980s. You could always have a video store, but you just have to have it with something else. You know, we love the nostalgia. I just like going to a place to look at movies and talk about them. You know, we just need more of those types of places beyond movie theaters. I don't know. I miss the 80s. Like, take me back. That's where I belong. I know it. Have you ever seen The Machinist? Absolutely, man. That's a great movie. Christian Bale weighs 83 pounds. John, is The Late Show really pandered with woke, unfunny humor? Yeah, well, Jimmy Fallon definitely is. All right, let's go to the next one here. John, what were the early 2000s like for you growing up? I was in middle school. I was riding my BMX bike everywhere. I was into doing wannabe jackass stuff with a video camera I had just acquired for my birthday. And really, other than me and my friends occasionally playing video games, riding bikes around and doing dumb shit, that was what life was like in the early 2000s for me. And you know, one thought though, speaking of all of those things, and not to get too dark or morbid, but every time I think about this, I remember in 7th grade, I was riding my bike home from school, and at every gas station along the way, there was like a line of cars. And there was all this buzz during the day at school amongst the teachers and the adults. And I remember thinking, even as a kid, like, this feels weird. Something's off. And then I rode my bike home, and I got into the door, and my mom was watching the news. And this is going to take a weird twist. I'm sorry for this. I saw it was on 9/11, one of the planes just crashed into the building. And I looked at it for a minute, and I was like, is this a movie? And my mom's like, no, this is really happening. And I literally thought it was the end of the earth. I was like, this is it. This is the end of, this is it. I'm in 7th grade and I'm going to die today. Did that answer your question or slightly relate whatsoever? I'm sorry if I went from talking about movies to 9/11. I'm sorry for that. But anyway, let's just go to the next one. Cosplay Chris. How's it going, man? Johnny boy. Hey, Cosplay, how's it going, buddy, man? Long time no talk. Hope you're doing good and well and fine down under. Cosplay Chris, man, if you haven't checked out his channel, please do. Makes good stuff. Quality content. And I still have a couple of his Chris's collectibles that he sent to me years and years ago. I actually want another one for the shelf back here, man. So if you got something, let's do some business together. Something cool that lights up with dinosaurs. Yeah, Cosplay Chris, he still makes them like figuramas or of events and movies. So you might have Jurassic Park with the T-Rex and the Jeep flipped over, and he customizes it and builds it and puts lights in it and fake moss and all kinds of detailed shit, and he sells it on Etsy. Anyway, awesome guy, cool channel. All right. Let's go to the next one. Is it called diorama? Diorama, is that the right term I was looking for? Sorry. Rex says, in high school / college, what was your favorite job? In high school, my favorite job might have been, I worked at Jiffy Lube for about 6 months as an upper bake technician. Did I know what I was doing? Half the time I did. Did my friend accidentally drain all of the oil in a car and then fill it up with transmission fluid? Yes, he did. But anyway, at Jiffy Lube, my best friend and I worked there together, and we were sort of busy every once in a while, but we had a lot of downtime, and we would just fuck off all day. That was great. In college, my favorite job by far was delivering pizza. That was, at the time, the best job you could ever give me, because you got to drive around all day, you got to listen to music, you got to eat free breadsticks that you stole from inside the store, and you got paid cash every night. So whenever you can combine pizza with cash, what more do you want in life? Rex says, what are 5 underrated film recommendations? Holy shit, man. You think I just walk around with that stuff on the tip of my tongue every day? Well, you're in luck, because I slightly do. Let me tell you 3 movie recommendations for 3 movies that you probably have never seen, you'll probably never watch, but maybe you should. And I only remember one of them right now because somebody asked me this question the other day on Twitter. One was Joe the King. Oh, here they are. Joe the King, starring Val Kilmer, is a nice, subdued indie film from the late 90s. It's about this little dysfunctional kid. Like, he's a little asshole, and his dad's a drunk alcoholic played by Val Kilmer. Sort of relates to my own life at one point. But anyway, check out Joe the King. Another movie I think you guys should watch, and it stars Dennis Quaid in his younger years, is Breaking Away, which actually has all the actors in that. It was like their first movie, and they all went on to be stars. Yeah, watch the movie from the late 70s called Breaking Away. It takes place in Indiana. It's about these college kids, and most of them are sort of like other side of the tracks type kids, but they all come together for this bike race. It's pretty good. It's pretty heartfelt, and I like that it's also an independent film. And my third recommendation for a underrated movie that maybe you have not seen, I'm trying to think. I'll tell you what, here's a question for you guys in the comments before we end up in the live show. In the comments section, tell me some underrated movies that people should definitely see. Type away in the comments. I'll try to find a third one for you guys. But those are my couple. There's no way I could pick 5 right now. I mean, I always tell people Nightcrawler because you guys know I love the movie, maybe more than I should, because the name of the company is Video Production News, a professional news gathering service, and that is how it should be read, and that is how it should be said. But I always recommend people see Nightcrawler for a movie they've never seen. School of Rock, that's funny. That's actually, I was watching that on Netflix before I did the live show tonight. A Siberian film. Yeah, everyone should watch Irreversible. That's, if you've never seen Irreversible, you and your family should get together and watch it. We got Killer Joe here. Okay, not bad. Kung Fury. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. You know, another movie from the last 10 years I might recommend is the movie Mud with Matthew McConaughey. I always like those low key sort of gritty stories where there's a couple friends that are like couple boyhood friends that the movie revolves around. Movies like that have always connected to me. So if you haven't seen the movie Mud, definitely check that out as well. Our Good Time with Robert Pattinson. Another good movie if you've never seen it. Bruce Cook says, John, speaking about Indiana Jones movies, what's your opinion on Hoosiers 1986? I think it's a great sports movie. I've only seen it probably once in my life, but it was one of those movies like my grandfather would always have on in the background in the 90s. But I can kind of remember seeing it once with, it's not, what's the actor's name? Not Gary Busey. Oh my God. What is the actor's name? He talks like Nick Nolte. Yeah, I had to do my Nick Nolte impression to remember who Nick Nolte was. It's a real nice thing we did for that boy in that tank, Tommy. Like, whatever. He's talking like a computer who is trying to speak to you. I don't know. Anyway, Mud is great. Yeah. So anyway, guys, I think I'm going to wrap up the live show there. I'm getting really tired. I want to just keel over and eat something. Oh, Gene Hackman. Oh, shit, you're right. It is Gene Hackman in Hoosiers. Thank you for correcting me. Nick Nolte is in Blue Chips, the other basketball movie from the mid-1990s with Shaq in it. I knew there was a basketball connection there. So please forgive my sins against humanity. I will punish myself now. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up the live show there. I want to say thanks for all the questions. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for the super chats. It's very much appreciated. It does help. And thanks just for watching and joining in and hanging out. It does mean a lot. This is truly a cathartic, enjoyable experience. This is my escape in the week from reality, and I hope it might be one of yours. But either way, guys, thanks for watching. I'll throw these bad boys up on Spotify and make an audio version later this week. But as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for the questions, and I'll see you guys next time. Stay safe. And hopefully I'll see you again this weekend. So don't get scared now.